Music, dance, theater. It's time to take a seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez. Hear from performers, producers, presenters, and creators who enrich our lives in the performing arts. Who's on stage? Here is Tom Alvarez to introduce you.
Hello, and welcome to On the Aisle with me, Tom Alvarez. My guest today is actor, singer, dancer Judy Fitzgerald, who serves as artistic director and is a co-founder of Actors Theatre of Indiana. Join me now as I go on the aisle for a conversation with Judy.
Have you ever covered a carpet stain with a rug, ignored a leaky faucet, pretended your half-painted living room is supposed to look like that? Well, you're not alone. We've all got unfinished home projects. But there's an easier way. Thumbtack is the app that makes it easier to care for your home. Pull out your phone and in just a few taps, search, chat, and book highly rated pros right in your neighborhood. Download Thumbtack and start caring for your home the easier way.
Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte Clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces. Plus, they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Welcome, Judy Fitzgerald. I am so happy that you agreed to be on this podcast with me.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Tom. This is so great. I'm just so happy that this is all happening, and it's exciting.
I want to hear more about what your thoughts are about why it's so important to cover the arts, as I've been doing for a while.
Well, as you were saying, overnight success, but it took time to be that. And I can relate to that as we're getting ready to go on our next season will be our 20th year, crazy as that is. Insane.
20 years.
I know. I cannot believe it. But what I was saying is how important and how much I appreciate Wish and Channel 8 for embracing you and embracing how important the arts are and how important it is that we can talk about it and have a voice. And I mean, the arts, we know from all the articles in the world how important just in everyday life, from children to adults to everything, that the arts mean a lot. And I appreciate and respect that you're covering it and you're helping spread the word about local arts here and the fun people that come in and perform at the cabarets. I know you have great friends through that. And I just appreciate it. So thank you for having me on.
Speaking of covering, I have been covering you all these years.
I know.
And, I think about my, my time covering the arts goes back to when I moved to Indianapolis in the early 70s. But, even from the beginning, I thought we had a very vital arts scene, although it wasn't my singular beat. I worked at another station and was a producer, so I covered a lot of subject matter, and it wasn't open, but I was always kept an eye on the arts because that's my background. And even back then, that was really the only thing I felt at the time that Indy had going for them. At that time, they had a symphony, and there was a vital arts scene. But then to watch it grow as it has over the years, it's just been so fulfilling.
It's incredible. I mean, how it's grown, and it's wonderful.
And who knows better than you that what a great place it is to do a startup. So let's talk about Actors Theatre of Indiana. Give me a little history of how it all came together.
Well, it all came together with the trio, as they call us, Don Farrell, Cynthia Collins, and myself, Judy Fitzgerald. I'm the one who was born and raised here, actually in Indianapolis. And
where'd you go to high school?
North Central.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, of course. There you have it, right there. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
wow.
I did. So okay. we looked. We had been working together, and we were all in New York City. I was in New York City for 16 years before I moved here. I was in Chicago, then New York for 16, and then moved here. That we were working together and we were thinking, well, we could probably do this together wherever we go. But Mayor Brainerd, I was pregnant with Lizzie. That's how you know the age of the company. Mm-hmm. She turned 19 in January, so now you know. And that's a wonderful thing I think about all of us, too, is that they know us. Some theater companies got, incredible civic, 100 years old plus. Mm-hmm. But we're the founders, so people know us, and they know Lizzie, and they ask, how's Lizzie? And I'll be like, well, I'm a freshman at IU. They're like, are you kidding me? Crazy. Mm-hmm. So we came here. Mayor Brainerd had a vision about the Palladium and everything being built there, that whole campus. And he kind of talked to us and wooed us to come here. And it took a while because it was going to be in 2009 and there was 2011.
How did he know of you? When you say we
had a friend of ours, Jim Briggs, who's no longer with us.
Oh, sure.
Did you know Jim? Oh, my gosh.
I sure did.
Dear, one of my father's
that's right. It's all bringing
best
back. Okay.
Friends.
Yes.
Got us a meeting with the mayor, and I met with him, and the mayor, when I saw him at his retirement at the Palladium on the stage, there was a celebration for him and for his, leadership. And he said to me, and he remembered that he said, I used what you told me the day that I met you all the way through the development, was that I had said to him that I didn't want to drag a stroller down the subway. And I wanted to bring great art here, and I wanted to be able to, produce here and raise Lizzie and have. So within a year, I set aside. We started a company. I had a baby. We bought a house, got a car, wow. All in 1 year. And I would recommend that. Most people would say I wouldn't recommend it, but it was fast and furious. And I don't know. Do you remember Nick Cruz from the Star?
Yes.
We lucked out. We had a mentor theater in Georgia, Georgia Ensemble Theater. And we had done some shows there together, Cindy, Dawn, and myself. And so we just took the set of My Way, it was Frank Sinatra's show, and brought it here. Mm. And our first show was at Pike Performing Arts Center. Crazy, huge place. And Nick Cruz came out and gave us an incredible, we were doing everything. I was doing box office, and Don was doing budgets, and Cindy is, legwork running everywhere. And, so we're running out there giving people tickets and then knowing we're going backstage and performing. But overnight, by his review, we went from, who are these people to, over 400, 500 people coming to each show. It was incredible. So, I mean, sustaining that to now, we went through, there was an economic, crash. What was that, around 2008, 2009, I'm trying to remember when that was. And we went through the pandemic, and we've survived. We're tiny, we're not huge. Mm-hmm. But I'm proud of us all, and we're going through all kinds of changes. I'm now the artistic director. Don is doing his own thing. Cindy's teaching at Anderson. And
so why the restructuring?
Well, I think it was just everybody was kind of wanting to do. Don was wanting to branch off and do his own thing, which I totally respect and think that's great. And Cindy was like, I'm going to think about performing other places and doing other things, which is great. And then I was kind of the one who was very much with the two of them in the foreground, but with everybody else, not so much, because I was raising Lizzie, and that was, she was at Carmel High School in the a cappella choir and the show choir. I mean, as all those parents out there know, that's a full-time job in itself. And I wanted to take care of her and do that. But I still was very present and in the shows, and still we'd all talk together about everything that we did. But it just worked out. She went to college and they wanted to do that. And I'm like, okay. So I stepped forward, and I'm like, it's just going swimmingly well. And Darren Morell is now my associate artistic director. And he's done everything from being an executive director to an artistic director to a managing director to a producer, all these things all across the country. And he was at a point in his life, he's like, I don't want to do all that. I just want to, I love ATI and I know things are changing. And I think that he knows so much about Equity Actors Equity Association, the professional union that we're behind, and we're a professional theater company, as you know, and we pay everybody. But he's a font of information. So him coming on, and at first he's like, I'm just going to help you. Like, he didn't even ask for a salary, anything. And he has been invaluable. I mean,
and didn't you just lose your board president who is retired? Board president, your CFO.
Our ED, our executive director, Jim Riley. Jim Riley retired, and now Brian Frost has stepped into that role. That is new. But Dan McFeely, our board president, is still on our board. But John Murphy, now we have a new board president. So it's
Dan McFeely, former Indianapolis Star or News reporter. Or
yes. And Dan he's incredible.
Yeah.
But he's lucky we are that he still is on our board, and he was big with the city, and so he knows a lot of things. And we're building our board right now. So
let's back to. You'll be interested to know that Michael Feinstein. We interviewed him, but we talked about at length about the Palladium and how at the time it was built, it was considered a boondoggle, and some considered a scandal. How dare you spend all that money, our tax money, on this white elephant in the middle, like this, fancy, Greek-inspired building or whatever. And people were just really upset about it. But everything that he's accomplished now, I mean, it's come into fruition, of course, in that vision of his,
Well,
your
and you
own
can't
organization
leave,
included, right?
Right, and you can't leave Mayor Brainerd out of that. Jim Brainerd it was his brainchild.
I asked Michael, how is it that you decided to come out here and start? He said, well, Jim Brainerd convinced me that that I would have a home for my foundation and that, he would be involved. And so I marvel because I've, been covering it since its beginning, I love to tell the story about how I had a hard hat tour and they invited me to go up to that whatever it's called at the top of the building, the dome or whatever.
Right.
They said, well, Tom, we'd love to take you up there and you'll be the very last person other than construction people or whatever to be up there ever again. And I had to admit, I have a terrible fear of heights. So,
but you did it.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't go.
Way. Oh no!
Oh my
gosh. I didn't go to the top of the Eiffel Tower for the same reason, right? But anyway, I digress. But so I've been there when things have started. When you guys started, I was curious about, and I knew a bit about your background, that you guys had lived in New York and that you'd come to Indiana, and so I've been watching it closely over the years. But it was Jim Brainerd. I didn't know that story.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he brought us here, and his vision, everything. I mean, you can not deny what he did for the arts in Carmel. It's incredible. And how beautiful we were, because we were waiting. So we were nomads, which I think helped us in what we do.
What were some of the homes you had in the beginning besides Pike?
Well, yeah. So we went from, I laughed. That's why I feel that so strong that we can adapt to any situation. Sure. So we had been so Zionsville actually is where we started. They had just broken ground. Mm-hmm. And then we went to Pike and did 2 seasons there. We went to the Athenaeum. We went to the Historical Society. We even went to Carmel Middle School. We were in a storefront in Clay Terrace. And then finally, in 2011, we got to do Chicago, which was the show that we started with. But I was there. We were singing in terrible wind, some Frank Sinatra stuff. And we actually, when they took the dirt in the shovel and threw it, we were there when they broke ground with a terrible sound system, singing My Way or, That's Life. And there we were. Frank Basile. I mean, all of these great people that we've gotten to know through the years, that we care a great deal about, and we've been fortunate enough to have them know us And that's why I say that's the neat thing about us being founders is that people really know they know who we are.
Well, you also, when you think about it, you establish yourself as a destination business.
Yep.
People followed you. They found you. And that's pretty special in itself. So when you landed a home, that was just the icing on the cake, but you've already built a brand. Your reputation followed you, correct?
Thank goodness they did. I have to go back to Nick Cruz giving us that review, which was so kind. And people started paying attention. They're like, who are these people? Mm-hmm. And then those people that have followed us, I mean, you couldn't be more grateful, right? They followed us from Zionsville to Pike, all the way downtown to here, to there. And now we definitely want to be a destination even bigger, right? So we're trying to reach out to outside, like Anderson and Columbus and all of these places, and trying, hopefully
How's
people
that
will
working
come.
out for you now?
Well, that we're just really starting a big push on that, hopefully. But we've got the hotels, and we've got, trying to figure that out, that there are bus tours that come through.
Already do you feel the Palladium has already done a good job of training folks in the neighboring communities to drive in?
And they've brought in, the people that they bring in are incredible.
Of course.
And their team, Jeff McDermott, and that's another thing. We've been there since the beginning. So we know everyone that has started from, say, this position and moved to that position.
How's that cooperation working over the last, since you've been there with the Palladium as one of their companies?
I think terrifically well. We're always figuring each other out. And I feel that with my role now moving to where I am, I've tried to meet with Jeff McDermott and Jeff Stagg and talk to them all about they have all of this info and data that they've done that I didn't know. Maybe Don and Jim had seen, but I hadn't. So it really insightful. And they do care. They care about, they want us to succeed, obviously, because we're a resident theater company.
And pursuant to that, do you feel that they, do they market?
Yes.
They market you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how do they do that?
They, of course, their priority has to be themselves, but they put, when they send things out, they'll put us in their calendars. They'll send us out as a resident.
It would be in their best interest to promote and market their resident companies, because it's about traffic, and it's about getting butts in the seats. If they go to a cabaret show, they're going to come out here and see one of our shows, or go to the Civic Theater or Gregory Hancock. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And
are they getting? Do you have evidence of overlap?
We do, and that's with the whole thing of you walk through where you park, you walk through our by Civic's Theater where Gregory is, and where, of course, Civic and Booth Tarkington, and then the studio where different things are there. So you walk through when you park, you're walking through, so you see the banners, and they have all the screens up now. And so anyone going to the Palladium, most of the time they have screens of our shows. Speaking of that, all there advertising our shows.
And that's one of the things that struck me as the center began to grow. I cover everything, as you know. But when I started coming out to the campus, it was just really exciting to see all that activity. That vision that Brainerd had, it worked.
And the Monon right there. And the hotel right there now with the walkway. It's
people can go and have an evening out, all the wonderful.
Go have dinner, park your car, walk across, come back, see the light show on the Palladium. And
there's this. Let's talk about this whole idea. I want to find out what your thoughts are about it. Speaking of Frank Basile, he and I interviewed him a number of times, and we had many conversations. And I often hear this out and about. And I like to feel it's like dissipating this idea that, the Carmel versus Indianapolis thing. I don't want to go to Indianapolis because there's too much crime. There's no parking. I don't want to go to Carmel. It's too far away. And those people are all snobs. And, it's like, is that a myth?
I think it is in my world. They talk about the 96th Street border. I don't want to go this way. I don't want to go that way. Our demographic, we have a ton of Indianapolis, Indiana, people that come to our shows. And I'm thrilled that they do that. So I don't know.
So I like to think that it did exist at one time early on.
I think so. And I think, the more that we do crossover.
I can't support the Palladium or Actors Theater because if I give them money, then that takes away from my giving to the ISO or to whatever.
Well, and we are Actors Theater of Indiana. We're not Actors Theater of Carmel. And we have performed all over.
Yes.
We just found our home there. Well, we wanted our home there. Let's not say, through Jim Brainerd. But I think the thing with the arts that sometimes people feel is, I don't feel it's so competitive. I think that my world is that if I can help you sell your tickets to your show and you help me, I think it's a win-win.
That's another one of those myths. In fact, I talked to someone recently who's like, a donor. We had a discussion about that. I politely let him know that he's misinformed because from where I stand, the theaters, let's talk about theater in general. There's a lot of, cooperation, empathy, notwithstanding the talent. You all use the same talent
exactly.
pool. And we have an incredible talent pool. And you
really
all
do.
make it possible for creatives. I don't know that there are only a handful of people, I think you'll agree, who are equity actors who can make a living just doing equity work in this town.
Yeah.
They have to go other places. And everybody else, there's that whole thing about you're damned if you do and you're damned if you do. Like become equity members. It means that you can't do community theater and that sort of thing. So that's a tough one. But, nevertheless, I don't see that competition, especially, and also when it comes to things like sharing costumes, sharing props, all that kind of stuff.
Of course.
All right.
I'm happy. Like we just had a thing. We're borrowing something from Beef and Boards. Beef and Boards borrowed something from us. I'm happy to, if people, I have no problem with that. We've used our office space for other theaters to have auditions. We've, talk about collaboration. Lou Harry, on April 1st, we're doing a cold read. He's asked some artistic directors from like Constance Macy and Emily Racine and for us to come and do a cold read at Indie Reads. And I think just like that, how wonderful is that? Oh, yeah. So I get to work with Emily and Constance and these other artistic directors. It's wonderful, And I've
seen so many of you on different stages during all of the years that I've been writing about the art. As you know, I wear a lot of hats, including I'm a producer. Our company, Magic the Cabaret. If we ever need anybody, all I have to do is make a few phone calls and someone will help us. This is remarkable.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you guys have done a great job. And you also understand being downtown and being in Carmel and moving around.
Talking about destination, yeah. Wherever we hang our hat is home.
I had that.
Our logo.
I had that for, let's see, 6 years.
Yeah. We actually do have our frame logo that we put on an easel wherever we go. And it's really cool to know that, that it's this representation. We're gypsies,
Exactly.
And we can't all have physical homes, We don't want one, frankly. That's just us. But, a lot of organizations aspire to that. So your history, what you all have accomplished is in some ways inspiration for others who, it's possible. That's what I've always loved about Central Indiana. It's like I mentioned before, it's a place where you can start up, It's entirely possible if you surround yourself with the right people.
And it is about, as you know, when you are a gypsy, which is the perfect word, which we were for 6 years, that it's a lot of work letting people know where you are. And even when we have our home now, it's still, people are like, "Ooh, what's Actors Theater of Indiana?" We're like, "What do you mean?" It's a constant...
well, the key ingredient, though, is quality.
Exactly.
If your product has quality, then that will be the driving force.
Completely. And I think that everywhere I go, I love how diverse and different, every show that I go to. I'm constantly amazed by the talent and the shows and we just did our lab series Paige Scott we did her reading It Girl. And the talent, the fact that she, just being able to embrace these writers and people, local writers. I mean, they're incredible. They're amazing. Very, I'm proud of this community,
Let's talk about you. I often and try to in my reviews, I'm always making clear that, it's the art that I support overall. Everything is above my ego or any of that sort of thing. But having said that, I've told you many times what a fan I am of yours. So I'd really love to talk about your work. I don't know how many shows I've seen of yours, probably most of them since you've been at Actors Theatre. I would be surprised if I only missed a few. And, I find your body of work just to be spectacular. Would you have had the same career if you had stayed in New York?
Who knows? I mean, it's your path. You do what you do. And I've been very fortunate, and thank you so much for that. I'm embarrassed if people can't see me, but but I appreciate, I really appreciate it. And I love what I do deeply. And, the whole reason we started the company, let's be honest, is we're performers at heart.
Sure.
So we want to perform and we want to...
What do you say to those who say, well, you only started so you could work? It was like your own little repertory company.
Well, what do I say to that? Well, if you want to know honestly, in the beginning, well, it's not just that we wanted to work, but we wanted to get our friends work.
Yes.
So it's not just us.
Yes.
We want to bring our friends in from New York, and our friends. I mean, what could be more wonderful than that? Than be like, hey, I have a gig for you.
Out there.
Yeah, of course. Well, and I understand that,
yeah.
but I'm not going to lie. Yeah,
sure.
We did start the company so that. But, I don't think any of us are slouches. And I think that we bring in excellent people, excellent directors in that, and combine them with excellent people from here. So the fact that we can give jobs to people that we love, that should be, the thing people are like to other people, why aren't you working? Well, because the pool is big, right? Mm-hmm. So anytime we can get these incredible people and give them work, I mean, what is more fulfilling than that? And let's not lie, to get to work with them together, that is an embarrassment of riches. To have a wonderful director you respect directing you and you grow as a performer, because the last thing I want is for us to be here and not grow as performers. You know what I mean? Not do the same thing and the same role and the same over and over again. Bring in new people, new works, new things, new ideas, so that we grow as performers.
Well, I have to tell you that you and Cynthia and Don are true chameleons. I mean, I can say again, qualifying myself, I've seen a lot over my, 76 years. And I don't know that I've ever seen you guys sort of repeat any kind of characterization that you've done previously. And it always has amazed me that I believe you in everything that you do separately.
Wow, that's the biggest compliment you can give a performer.
Oh.
I mean, it really is. That's your goal. Your goal is to be believed.
I keep waiting.
You don't want to catch people acting.
I keep waiting for one of you to drop character and be like another character or yourselves, but never. It's like, yeah. So that just speaks to your, your training, obviously, but your talent. And so I'm sure that having had the opportunity to grow has come from playing all the characters you've been able to play too, right?
Yeah, of course. And we always want to keep it fresh, and I'm so excited because during our next show that opens April 26th at Forbidden Broadway, we're going to be able to announce our 24-25 season, which I can't say right now.
Okay.
But we're back 4-show season, stronger than ever. Going to do, our lab series with 3 new works. Going to do, something during the holidays. Going to fill in with all kinds of things. So I feel that our trajectory is fantastic. I feel like we're kind of back after, because the pandemic killed everybody.
Yeah, what was COVID like for you guys?
Oh my!
The pandemic.
Everybody had to cancel everything.
Can you believe that it actually happened, though? It seems like a blur.
It does. It's
when
like,
it was happening, things like moved at a snail's pace. We didn't, all the fear that came with it. Do you remember all?
Oh, I sure do. And you're right. It is it's like an illness when you get better, and you're like, you forget. You're like, oh, remember when I broke my leg and couldn't walk for half a year? But then you're like, oh, now I'm great. So, but it was very difficult, and we had to think about ways to.
How did you guys survive financially?
Well, financially.
The theater.
Well, but you have to also think about that we weren't paying for the venue. We weren't paying for the performers. We were doing our own thing. Mm-hmm. So we were not having to shell out the dough, ATI. So whatever we had, we could keep. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were doing shows from our homes. We were doing drive-in.
That's right.
Drive-ins and so
tip jars.
Exactly, and donors and donations and so all of that and I do have to give our PR marketing. I mean, Meg did a great job. She convinced us to keep going. So I have to give Meg Gates Osborne that call because we didn't want to do those for not that we didn't want to do them, but we're like, is anybody watching? We're at home. We were making drinks. We're like, here's the cocktail we're going to make and here's what we're going to sing for you. And everybody was, we were on Facebook Live and people would watch and then they would be like, does it? And they'd be like, oh no, we want to see it. And then the drive-ins, people love that because they could be they'd pay per car. So they could be in their car. They didn't have to be near anybody but their family, and they'd bring coolers and stuff, and we'd have speakers and be on a giant stage. How did you
feel about that whole period personally? I mean, I mentioned, did you go through anxiety and fear?
I don't know.
For yourself, because for the people that you loved?
It wasn't, well, sure.
Health care.
Oh, of course.
I'm speaking about that.
Yeah, well, my parents, my 80s, 90s, late 80s, 90s, it was very scary.
Did you have a bubble?
Like live in a bubble?
They called them bubbles back then.
Yeah. But we all were so careful because anywhere you went.
I keep waiting for more plays, movies, books about the pandemic. I think maybe they're still being written. There's got to be a musical in there somewhere.
I think people don't want to think about it yet. Really? I think it's too fresh. I mean, it was killer. And then to come back from it and be like, oh, you have to wear. Talk about there are people that succeeded anything like Netflix and all that. They boomed.
Of course.
So then people got used to that, and me included. I mean, I'm guilty of it. And they're like, well, why would I go out?
That's right. That's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem.
Hulu, Netflix.
How are you getting them off the couches?
Well, it's fine. It's taken this long. It's taken this long. I
so
think
are they coming back?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. When did you know that?
I think just our last show. I think just Route 66, probably I really knew.
Have you been doing surveys or anything like that?
We're going to. Okay. We've done them in the past, but here we were just, you're just trying to get, Jeff McDermott talked about it, about how everybody, it's just now getting them back in. And they have to feel, you have to realize Netflix now, you can only binge so much. You need to get out. And you need to see live things.
Their prices and you can't.
Yeah.
You can't be on someone else's account.
Well, and how long can you sit on the couch and just eat cookies, and drink martinis? After a while, that becomes not too good for you.
So you think that people are discovering live entertainment again?
Yes.
And embracing it?
Yes.
Well, just being social in general. Again.
Yes. And then you have people that are our dear supporters that we adore so much that are really social. Like a Linda Goki, who I love, and those folks that just are like.
A big shout out to Linda Goki, who's a friend to lots of arts organizations, including ours.
Yeah, a dear friend, and Don Katz too. And but she's somebody who's like not afraid of anything. She's like, get out, And those people, Frank and Katrina, those people that get out there and just. A lot of these people because every picture I see, you're in them. Yeah. But they were like, we're not afraid. So they are the people in Indy that are getting people out there, and kudos to them. I think they're a huge part of what we do, and they're incredible people.
What are you working on right now, short term, in your new position? And when did you start? When were you appointed?
Well, I kind of started, Don was back in a way like in August of 23. Yeah. So I really started stepping up
Officially.
At that point. But there was a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah.
So I feel that that was all kind of catch up, not only with the transition, but with still dealing with COVID and trying to figure out finances and thank goodness to Crystal DeHaan and that legacy gift.
Yes.
That completely, we would not be, I mean, I can say that, and I'm sure a lot of people.
Was she a regular attendee?
She was we met Crystal, I'm trying to think when, Crystal Guyan, who was one of her right-hand people, brought us on to do a Christmas party for her. Like, I'm trying to think when it was, so long ago. And she just embraced us. It was just the three of us.
At the time was not the current one.
No, but we did this at a venue for her, a small venue.
Got it.
It was a really to celebrate her people. So we came, and it was just the three of us, and Terry Woods drums.
How did you find Crystal DeHaan? What was your impression of her?
Oh my God, I love her, and I think
Why?
I loved everything about her. When we first met her, they said, "Okay, listen, we're gonna just when you get done, we're going to introduce you. Just know." She came right up to us, and she was with that voice that is, you just melt. And she was so wonderful. And ever after that, she asked us to do her Christmas parties and we would, especially Cindy and myself, the two of us would sit and just talk to her. We would close the place down, just fascinated with her. And she was the real deal, the real deal. And
why do you say that?
I guess because she was such a philanthropist. Like, she just gave. And when we went to the big celebration for the people that received the gift, and it was wonderful seeing all these organizations that got, it was a variation of different amounts. And I felt very fortunate that we were really one of the few. Civic received, Gregory Hancock received, but Carmel, based. That everything else was Indianapolis or Indiana, and one of the things they said, I hope that I can't remember exactly, but she's like, I hope I made a difference. That was what they said, and it choked up, when they were talking, and she certainly did. And two of her not board members, people that worked with her, texted me and said, I hope you're happy with the amount, because she really wanted you to have this, wanted you guys to have this, because she cared about us as human beings. Oh, well, we go to perform, right? And we're like, we don't, we're meeting her. So it was, normally we would do it for a lot more. But we were like, fine. So a week after we performed for her, I don't know, for like $800 or something, just to pay our people, which is how we've worked too forever and ever, that she sent us a check for $10,000. I mean, that's just understanding that we're a small company and that we can use it, that we are a nonprofit, that we are not big, that we don't have a ton of money.
I love hearing that, because that mirrors a couple of experiences that Justin and I have had running a small company. And we have some very special arts patrons in that regard, who do stuff like that.
And you can't believe it. You just feel so blessed, and you can't even describe it. It's just like, wow.
I'm sure.
Really? Wow.
I'm sure other communities have their share of arts patrons, but I think that there's something in the water here that causes some of our support. I mean, and then of course the foundations, as you know. I mean, we're so fortunate. And I think from my standpoint of covering the arts, just the whole ecosystem of donors and supporting, arts organizations, and, we all feed off of each other, and it's just really kind of marvelous, and that's another thing that I'm hoping to do with this show, Cynthia, is for listeners anywhere, and hopefully as we go along, it'll be a mix of national people, but a lot of people come through here and they love Indianapolis and they love indie audiences, and they comment about how sophisticated they are, how hip they are. And I really want to put, Indianapolis doesn't need me, but I'm talking about the arts. We've been trying to push the arts as an economic driver for years. And I like to think that, finally we can get through to some people. What do you think about all that?
I can't leave out the schools. The schools are incredible. I mean, Lizzie, my daughter Lizzie, that Lizzie went to Carmel Middle School. Right there, you had Trisha Scheide's. She was in a show choir in middle. Well,
that's right.
Like an incredible competitive show choir. Like these things, these kids, we are so fortunate. And Carmel in Indiana and everywhere, but I know the school system in Carmel because that's where I was and I am. But just the arts and what they get and the people that come in to train these kids and Katie Coons, amazing what these schools do. And I think that also is a launching pad for these kids. These kids go to Carnegie Mellon. They go to these incredible schools. They are musical theater majors. They go to Broadway and they come back. I mean, Joel Kirk. Joel, here he is, he was Carmel and he's come back and I think I'm from Indiana, from Indianapolis, and people come back and are proud of their hometown and want to build it to be, to celebrate the arts and bring in people. And again, exactly what you said, international, national, local, together, celebrating. And they're not a weak link. Everybody is,
I keep repeating the fact that we're no longer just a flyover or anything but, and look what Brainerd has created in the middle of a cornfield.
I can't say enough about him. We would not be here without Jim Brainerd. I mean, absolutely not.
I concur. So I want to know more about Judy Fitzgerald, the person.
Okay.
So tell me about your daughter Lizzie. I mean, obviously you're crazy about it. I see your Facebook posts, and of course, anyone who knows you knows that you and Cynthia are partners.
Yep. Exactly.
And Don Farrell is Lizzie's dad.
Yep. We were married.
You were married.
We call this the ATI years. This is a true story.
That, I came out a long time ago because I realized that the closet was a prison, and that I needed to take ownership of myself and not let others define me. And I knew once I did that, then I took away anybody's power to use it against me, and that's worked for me.
Sure.
Thank God, but it took a while.
Sure.
But in your case, I've really admired that you have been very authentic. I really admired that. And that you possibly have changed lots of hearts and minds through your work in theater.
I hope so. It's not about that. As you know, it's about just wanting to be happy and living our lives.
No, I don't mean that you've been consciously political or anything like that. You've just been authentic. You've been yourself.
Yeah, I mean, who else can we be, really?
Exactly.
I just want to live a great life, and I want to do what I love. And
there are a lot of folks who think that, that Hamilton County is a seat of conservatism, but I don't. I find that people are open-minded, and you can't judge people to that extent. I think to generalize that way.
I agree. I think that you're going to find that wherever you are. Doesn't matter where you are. You're going to find those people that won't support you, and what can you do about that?
Sure.
If they don't support you, they don't support you.
Yeah.
I mean, for no reason. If you don't like me just for that, and you don't know me, I can't do anything about that.
Yeah. So how's Lizzie? She obviously has the love of 3 people.
Oh, she's got
and grandparents too.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, she seems to have turned out quite well.
She's awesome. I can't say enough about Lizzie. I absolutely adore her.
The apple doesn't fall. Come on, it's genetic. I mean, there's proof of it. Look at her mom and dad, for God's sake.
She's just. She's just a.
Is she headed for New York?
Well, you know what? She's doing psychology and theater. She's not sure, because she doesn't want to be like, oh, I have to do this, but she can't help it. She just was auditioning for something at school, and she sings, and I'm ridiculous. Like I don't let her know, but I'm upstairs listening. I'm like, she's so good.
How do you handle that? How has that been for you to sit back and not be Rose, Gypsy's
Oh,
mom.
I would never be Rose. That's for sure. That I've played her, but I would never be her. But no, I want Lizzie to do her own thing. I never want to. Yeah. I want her to go make a gazillion dollars so she can support me.
Did she discover this on her own, by the way? Did she decide, like, were you surprised when she said, Mom, I want to do theater, or she just started doing it?
I wasn't surprised. I mean, she's had a voice since, I feel like it's probably all three of us feel this way, but I remember my mother, I was 5 years old and she knew I could sing and I was singing right out of the gate. I mean, you don't know what you're doing. You just like doing it. But she was around it. So she's so savvy and, and knows so many things, but she's just, I just enjoy her as a human being.
What does she think
everything
of your
else.
work, your own work? What does she think of your work?
You know what? I when we're in shows, you can tell she's proud of us. She's been around it forever. Like since she was in a carrier, we would be warming up, and
Does she critique you?
6 weeks old. Maybe a little, when it comes to things, she'll say, well, I feel like maybe that. But, and we did a greatest hits where I got to sing with, I've been able to sing with her. Don's been able to sing with her. The trio has been able to sing with Lizzie, which is
You need
been
to keep
incredible.
me posted because I haven't seen you guys perform yet. I want to see it.
And she loves it. I mean, she just has no fear. I mean, like they were in Nashville and I guess they needed people. Grand Ole Opry kind of caught off guard. And they said, well, the a cappella group, and they said, well, okay, Lizzie, like in 2 seconds, they're like, okay, you're going to perform on the Grand Ole Opry in front of all these people.
Oh
okay. Like me, I'd be like, well, okay. But she, all right, just no sweat. I mean.
Born in a trunk.
Exactly.
Sure. Talk about Cynthia.
Oh, what about Cynthia? She's awesome. She's great.
Her talent is scary.
Yeah, she's total Jersey, and we are complete. They say opposites attract, and we are, but it works. Mm-hmm. Like I cook, she cleans. This, she's that. I think of all these things, and she will run out and get it done. Like she's the get it done. Like if you're like Cindy. This needs to be done. She does it. So she's a real doer. Yeah. But it's just the best thing that I can say. We laugh all the time.
Definite case of yin and yang.
Oh, absolutely. And we both are. We can laugh so hard that we cry. Like that's, I think the beauty of it is just that we could be together 24/7 and not. It's just fun. Mm-hmm. Like if we travel somewhere, it's fun. We have a good time.
And how does Don fit into this? You guys have such a friendship.
Well, we do. Don is, and I don't mean to be hesitant on that.
Of course.
Don has got his own life, which is great. And I want that for him, and I want him to be happy. Don and I have always been, we've known each other longer than everybody. Mm-hmm. So we always have a bond. Well, first thing, Lizzie. Mm-hmm. But other than that, we've known each other longer than anybody in our lives other than my family and his family. So there's just something there. And I know he'd agree that just there is an unconditional something there, a friendship that I would always be respect, well. And I would always be there
mutual
for
admiration.
him. Yeah, I mean, no matter what happens, don't think that we haven't butted heads a million times, but if it came down to it, I would have his back. Cindy would have his back.
Well,
he would have our backs.
You guys are the quintessential modern family, right?
Yeah.
So, what's on your wish list for the theater?
One of the wish lists would be that Lily would cross the border and give us a couple $1 million. That would be wonderful. That to be able to just know that my season is our season, not mine, ours, is paid for, and know that I'll never have to think, look at the budget and be worried. Not to be extravagant at all. Just do our budgets and know they're covered. That would be excellent. Just to grow everything we're doing, to be able to maybe have longer runs, to be able to expand to other places and just not financially have to feel restricted, but not be crazy. You understand what I mean? But to be able to get, okay, we can do that. Great. We can bring this person in and fly them in. get somewhere
it's
always
still
to house
about
them.
for you, though, supporting artists, bringing in, giving work.
Absolutely, always.
To more artists in general.
And that they leave having a great experience.
So tell me, have you been able to track all these people who come in and out of Carmel to work at your theater? And what kind of reputation do you have around the country? Do you know?
I think that everybody loves working here. Well, I think we're getting ready to have auditions this coming weekend. And everybody wants to come back. Everybody wants to, even if they're doing something, they're like, well, I'm going to submit this. Can I hopefully come to callbacks? Can I? And I think that says something.
Where do you put people up when they come to Carmel?
Well, speaking of Linda Goki.
Of course.
I know that we have pretty much, but that would be a wish list to be able to have a couple of company cars and housing that would be available all the time. Linda is so generous. And so we know, okay, we can bring in 3. That's it. And she is so kind and generous and houses our people. She's getting ready to house our director. Well, she does she did a fundraiser for Magic Thread Cabaret. Of course.
We had, we did a master class with Ann Hampton Callaway in her living room. And she had Marilyn Mason.
I was going to say, I know Marilyn was there too.
She does a lot for the arts community that people don't even know about as well. So what would you say your vision is beyond just the nuts and bolts? What is your vision? You said you wanted to grow, but what is your fondest dream?
I guess my fondest dream really is to be able to have people take chances on shows maybe that aren't, to grow so much that like IRT or somewhere that people are like, okay, I may not know the show, but I'm going to come and know that your quality is going to be great. And it may not always be, pom-poms and cartwheels. It might deal with some matter that not, I don't want to bring people down, but it might
I think
deal.
Violet was a good example.
Exactly. But that was controversial for us a little bit.
And the new Rockney one too.
Yeah.
You guys are starting, it appears to me that you're taking on some tough topics.
We do, but we also...
Not challenging is probably a better
right, but we also want to listen to our audience base, and we want to certainly sell tickets and make sure that what we do is not fluff.
Exactly.
Forbidden Broadway is just fun and silly, but yet it's smart and satirical, and I mean, it's written so smartly that it isn't that just,
How much
toss
are
it
you
away.
updating this particular...
Well, let's see. There's some stuff we couldn't get rid of because people would be like, what are you getting rid of? You can't get rid of Les Mis. Can't get rid of Lion King. We have a new Annie. It's hilarious. We're putting Mary Poppins in. We've got Frozen in there this time. We've got...
What's the newest musical you're including?
Well, we have Book of Mormon. We have Newsies. We have some of the stuff. Gerard took a break for a while. He's now coming back. He's going to be on Broadway instead of off Broadway. They're going to be on Broadway. And he's got a whole new show written. So a few years from now, we'll have a bunch of new material. But he has a new show, and he's going to have a guest star every week in it. So, but he did take a break for a while. So some of the stuff... he did Spamilton, but it's Spamilton. It's all Hamilton. So
you bring back people who used to live or work here. Like he was in Route 66, lives in New York City. Comedian, big, tall.
Craig Underwood.
Oh gosh, it was so great to see him.
And he is as incredible as he is on stage, he is that way in life. He is the most effervescent, kind. You just love him, and you feel it, right? He's talented like crazy.
Any plans to bring Mr. Logan Moore back?
Certainly. Logan is busy in New York.
He was in your last Forbidden Broadway.
He was, and but he's in New York trying to get his way and make his way there, and that's tough. And if we all keep dragging him back, he's not gonna. He needs to be able to get his footing. I think he's extremely talented and a great guy. So
and so you were on Forbidden Broadway.
I am.
Yeah. And
Billy Kimmel, who was in Forbidden Broadway, off Broadway, and is the reason we get to do all of the material nobody else gets to do, because he worked with Gerard Alessandrini personally, so we get to do stuff nobody gets to do, which is exciting. And then Cynthia Collins,
Right.
and then Kieran Danon, who was in Route 66, and who's done a lot of stuff at Beef and Boards, and he's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's going to be really fun.
There are always a few questions that I ask just because I think they're kind of cliched, but they often reveal a lot about the person. And so tell me, what is your work philosophy?
I guess my work philosophy would be, I don't want to sound trite. It would be work hard and put the best thing you can, if we're talking theater, on that stage. Be believable. So when you say that to me, take it from, inside out, not outside in. Don't watch yourself. Be inside the piece and present it, and go out there and give 110%. They'll throw your heart over the bar and your body will follow. That Betty Buckley was one of my teachers in New York, and she had one thing that I know that you know that I know that you know. I know it's a silly thing, but I feel that, right? That if I am doing something that isn't genuine, somehow the audience, they know. You don't know that you know, perhaps, but you know. You just feel something. It's like what you just said about Craig. You just adore him. Well, yeah, because what you see is this genuine, incredible human being. So sometimes you like people and don't know why you like them. And my goal is to really, whatever I do, give it everything I've got, and just and
what drives you, Judy?
The work. The work. I want to work. I want to learn constantly. I want to work with great people. That is what drives me. When I am on the stage and when I perform and when I get done with something and I feel fantastic about it, you just can't describe it. I mean, it's a feeling, it's a high, it's a euphoria that anybody who knows, if they feel that they've really nailed it or touched someone, or somebody comes to you and you're like, wow, I didn't even know. That's it for me. I know, but it's all about the work, and it's all about learning and growing and keeping my brain, in tune and sharp, and never being lazy.
And lastly, what do you want people to remember when they think about Judy Fitzgerald?
I hope that I'm a genuine, nice person who cares about people, because I do. And, I know that's silly, so it's not about like, wow, she's a great artist. It's just that I feel like I care about people. Sometimes almost, it can keep me up worrying about someone. Not all the time, but I feel that I genuinely care about people. And that's what I hope that they take from it. That
Oh, here's the last one. You've heard this one before. If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
You know what? It's funny because looking at a tree when it comes to beauty, as far as, I'm not talking about that, but I love how a weeping willow looks, but I don't want to be, people be like, you have to be near the water and you're very, touchy to keep alive. But I just think they're so beautiful and they just move with the wind. And most people are like an oak.
And you know what I just thought of when you described that tree? I thought about you and some character in a big old hoop skirt.
With maybe just a wig that is everywhere over a pool of water. There you go. And people just making sure.
From Southern Gothic. I'm sure there's something you played in some. I'm sure you've worn a hoop skirt in your career.
Oh, at some point, for sure. I think, who knows, at some point. Sit down with it and hold it so you don't show.
Is there any character, though, that you've ever really been dying to play and haven't yet? Can you think of anything?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to play a lot of great ones. I'd love to do Mama Rose again.
Oh, I just saw Bette Midler last night, and I'd never seen her do
in the film
Gypsy. Yeah, wow.
And I would love to do that again.
Did you ever want to play one of the strippers?
No. I'll leave that to Cindy and to Carol Warcell and to Holly Stoltz, my favorite strippers of all time.
Who's the one with the trumpet?
Mazeppa. And that Holly Stoltz plays. She was fantastic. And Carol, we still pull those pictures out and just laugh so hard. But that one, and I mean, there are things like Light in the Piazza. There's the mother in that. There's, plays. I love plays. Truly. I love plays. I just saw Doubt, went to New York and saw Doubt. And it was sad Tyne Daly was out. But like just a meaty role like that. Like Lombardi. You talked about Lombardi. Marie and Lombardi. That was a great role. Like I like, that it in the morning if I'm like, it doesn't matter, right? I just get to go and I love a good acting piece.
That one was another transformation that you're so good at. So, well, we could talk forever, but you've got stuff to do up at Carmel right now. I do.
Well, anytime. I'm happy to come on, bring everybody, bring Lizzie, bring Cindy.
Oh, I haven't met her. I look forward to that. Yeah. So, okay.
She would take over. I'd be like, what happened?
Thank you for taking the time. Okay. Yeah. I will see you on the aisle.
Yes.
Or from the aisle.
Yes, indeed, at our next one. And thank you for doing this. And I'm so thrilled that you have this outlet and that you're allowing people to talk about the arts and what they love. And
thanks for the
thank
support.
You to your producer.
Appreciate it. I really do.
Yes.
Our thanks go out to our media sponsor, Urban Times. Urban Times is a monthly news magazine which serves as the official neighborhood newsletter for 16 Indianapolis neighborhoods, offering news about development, arts and entertainment, and from the business community.
Who will take center stage on the podcast next? Your seat on the aisle with Tom Alvarez awaits. Follow Tom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and make sure to visit tomalvarez.studio. Watch Tom every other Thursday on Lifestyle Live on Wish TV, and make sure to listen every week here on the All Indiana Podcast Network.